as a player who can command the court with his presence alone. An intimidating force in the middle.
Blocked again by Ewing. He blocked twice. Oh, man.
He's able to carry his team on his broad shoulders.
Patrick Ewing taking charge.
From the moment he entered the NBA, Patrick Ewing has been hailed as the franchise. And he's never backed down from the pressure that the role of savior can bring.
Patrick Ewing.
Meeting the challenges head-on, Patrick Ewing has faced his destiny and stood tall. Though Patrick is celebrated as one of the world's premier players, he remains to many somewhat of a mystery. A superstar who is hidden behind his forbidding game face. But beneath his on-court persona lies one of sport's most compelling personal stories. One that can only be made clear when it is told from the beginning. In 1973, first Dorothy and then Carl Ewing left Kingston, Jamaica, and headed for the United States. They settled just outside of Boston in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and on January 11th, 1975, the fifth of their 7 children joined them, young Patrick.
You know, you hear about America, you know, think about, you don't come over here, you're gonna make it, you're gonna do this, you know, you dream. But on the other hand, I was also sad because, you know, I love Jamaica, and I was gonna leave my grandmother and some of my sisters behind.
Though he came to his new home with high hopes, he faced a difficult adjustment.
When you're 6'1" in the 7th grade, coming from a country that has a different dialect and language per se, that type of a transition takes time to become adjusted to.
But Patrick didn't have to look any further than his own home for guidance.
Patrick's mother wanted her family to come to America and live here, so she worked to make it possible. She worked at the Mass General Hospital day and night. So I think the kids, Patrick being one of them, learned that if you want something, you had to work.
Following his mother's lead, Patrick attacked his schoolwork with that same determination.
When a teacher explained something and he did not understand the answer, he raised his hand and he would say, "Would you repeat that, please?" You would repeat it. If Patrick didn't understand it the second time, he would raise his hand and say, "Would you repeat that, please?" And once Patrick stopped raising his hand, he knew what you were trying to teach him, and you never had to worry about teaching him that again.
But while Patrick pursued his academic goals, his destiny pursued him.
You know, there's a park across the street from my house, and I was watching these guys playing, and they asked me if I wanted to play. And I said, you know, sure, but I don't know how to play. But they said it was okay because they just needed an extra body, so I played. I liked it. I mean, it was hard, it was rough at first. That's when they really started teasing me because I was so tall they couldn't play that well.
I think at first he was somewhat frustrated, but once he started to see a little improvement, he wanted a lot of improvement.
At age 14, the now 6'5" Patrick got his first taste of organized basketball with the Cambridge Ringe and Latin High School team.
The one thing you knew is that once he stepped through the doors to practice, you were going to get 110% out of him every single day. I mean, he never ever had a bad practice when it came to how hard he worked.
By 10th grade, Patrick had grown to almost 7 feet tall, and armed with his hard-earned skills, he now became a dominant player.
The numbers went up. 30 points, 40 points, 25, 30 rebounds. The numbers went up.
Leading his team to a state championship as a sophomore, Patrick became a local celebrity. But with his fame came jealousy.
You used to read in the paper all the time, the kids would say, "Hey, it's not fair, you have Patrick Ewing." Well, they were right. Patrick Ewing was so far and above better than these other players. And there was a lot of animosity in the city because of it. There was a lot of bad feelings.
When you're tall and black, you know, you're a target, and you're a pretty big target.
Without warning, Patrick found himself the object of vicious taunting.
They was holding up signs, Pat, you can't read. It was crazy.
Going to some of the gymnasiums and hearing the words that were used, and I hate the word nigger, and it was used at some point. All those things, I think, really hurt Pat.
At first, Patrick reacted as most young men would.
You know, you got to stand up for your right. You know, once people see you doing that, then they'll leave you alone.
But as he saw that the jeers would not go away, he responded with a wisdom beyond his years.
What I've watched Patrick do is to adjust to difficult conditions and then face them, which is what good leaders do.
I think basketball gave him the opportunity to release a lot of his tension and frustration. So eventually what he did was he took it out on everybody he played against.
Oh, we loved it. I mean, we love going to other places, you know, people booing you. You know, you thrive off that, you know, make you want to beat the other team even harder.
Patrick would lead his team to an incredible 77-1 record and 3 consecutive state championships. He was now known as the nation's top high school player, and he was hotly recruited by every major college, including those in his hometown of Boston.
Some of those people that maybe were booing him and yelling things at him before suddenly thought, well, hey, this would be pretty cool if we can get Patrick Ewing to play in Boston.
Everywhere Patrick went, he felt the pressure to play at home. But as usual, Patrick had a firm sense of what he needed to do.
You know, I felt that, you know, in order for me to grow as a person, I had to get away from home.
After considering all the fact, my decision is to attend Georgetown University.
In Washington, D.C.'s Georgetown University, Patrick found the perfect place to pursue his goals. And in Coach John Thompson, he found the ideal mentor to help him.
I can remember the day he came in, and you know, I was just sitting there mesmerized. You know, my mouth was a gateway on my eye. You know, the way he spoke, he was a very good speaker, very articulate, and you know, he was a center.
A former NBA player, Thompson was the ideal coach for Patrick. He would instantly install him as the centerpiece of his team, and though just a freshman, Patrick eagerly shouldered the burden.
Ewing, send it in, Patrick. Blocked by Ewing. Amazing. Here's another one. Another block by Ewing.
Double team baseline. Gets it off for Ewing. Addison, 2.
It didn't take Patrick long to reward Coach Thompson's faith as he quickly grew into his role.
When he came to Georgetown, not only did he lead by word, he also led by example, by his work ethic. Every time he walked out on the floor, whether it was the practice floor or whether it was the game floor, he always came to work hard and always came to play.
The Hoyas would follow their young leader all the way to the NCAA Finals, where they would face North Carolina and college basketball's most talented trio, featuring Sam Perkins, James Worthy, and Michael Jordan. The Tar Heels were the heavy favorites, but it would be Ewing who would strike first.
James Worthy, and that'll be goaltending. Nice pass, baseline, Jordan, and we're going to have goaltending again.
Pat Ewing starting to take control inside.
Nice pass to Perkins. Ewing got a piece of it. Perkins, Ewing again, and that'll be a goaltending call. And Ewing's all over the place.
It came to the hole, I was, you know, going for him.
Worthy, goaltending, and that's 5 goaltending. Calls up Pat Ewing.
Ewing is incredible around the basket.
I was just pumped up. I was ready to play. I was ready to win.
Playing with fearless abandon, Patrick refused to let his Hoyas succumb. as he carried them at both ends of the court and staked them to a 1-point lead with only seconds remaining.
A 1-point lead for Georgetown. The time, 18. Shot, Jordan, Michael Jordan, 14 seconds. Brown. Look for Sleepy Floyd. Oh, he threw it to the wrong man. He threw it to Worthy. It's over. It's over.
Despite their heart-rending defeat, Ewing's Hoyas had made a grand entrance onto the national stage. With their bold play, they had captured the attention of fans across the country and become an instant media sensation.
A lot of hype, you know, they built it up. It was so big.
But with their new fame came new problems. As John Thompson tried to shield his young team from public scrutiny, the press responded with angry reprisals, and, as usual, the center of the storm was Patrick Ewing.
They criticized Coach Thompson, they criticized Patrick. They would sometimes say we were physical, we were, the Hoya paranoid. I mean, they said everything.
But as he had learned from his days in high school, Patrick reacted by calmly ignoring his critics and focusing steadfastly on his goals.
He was not a person who sat there and said, oh, what they wrote about me was wrong, or what they said about me was incorrect. Somebody's got to jump up and explain that to him. Patrick has never been that kind of person.
I didn't care what, people on the outside was thinking. Just as long as in our family that we were close together, we knew what we had to do. We had to go out and play hard, play good defense, and win ball games. That was it.
But the challenges that he faced in his early years at Georgetown would pale in comparison to what he confronted as he prepared for his junior season.
Somebody told me Coach Thompson wanted to see me. And I'm like, what's going on? So I went into the office and, he told me to call home. And, the way that he said it and the way that he looked, I knew something was wrong. And I just started crying, tears started coming down my eye. I called home. Then my little sister answered the phone, and she told me that my mother had passed, and it was real tough for me to lose her, especially lose her, without, it just happened. It was rough. It was rough. I didn't feel like coming back to school. I didn't feel like playing any basketball. Matter of fact, I was gonna quit, but my family taught me into coming back, saying that she would want me to come back and to get my degree and to continue to play, because that she knew that I loved it so much. So I decided to come back.
He returned back to school with a lot of burden and never said one blessed word, and fulfilled his obligation in the classroom and played as hard as he possibly could.
Patrick would once again deal with adversity by channeling his emotions into his play. Attacking his opponents with renewed ferocity, he helped make his Hoyas into the nation's most intimidating team.
He is mobile. Oh, another block by Ewing.
A message.
Look at that block by Ewing, and it's all Georgetown ball. What effort by Ewing. Blocked by Ewing.
Guys were scared of him. Around the country, when you get in the paint against Patrick Ewing, it was very intimidating, to be quite honest.
Playing with an unquenchable desire, Patrick would again lead his Hoyas into the NCAA finals. But this time, he would refuse to let them lose.
Patrick Ewing could not just so his beautiful by Ewing. Oh, did he time that perfectly?
Outdueling Akeem Olajuwon and his Houston Cougars, Ewing gave Georgetown its first national championship.
Pat Ewing has been absolutely awesome. It's over! It's over! Georgetown, that's the ball game. The national champions.
They feel so, good. We worked so hard to get here, we finally won it. It just feels great.
For Patrick, the following year would be one of the most eventful of his life. He would win an Olympic gold medal, take his team to the national championship game for an incredible third time in 4 years, and win college basketball's Player of the Year award. But for him, the most important accomplishment was yet to come. fulfilling the dream that he and his parents had cherished. He would graduate.
And I remember one time going and talking with his mother. I told her that I felt it was my responsibility to let you know that this young man is capable of making a lot of money if he were to leave Georgetown. And she slammed on the table and said that she wanted him to get a degree and that she wanted him to stay in school.
When he went up to get his diploma, there's no doubt in my mind that Dorothy was in heaven looking down upon Patrick, that she enjoyed that moment and walked that walk with him.
I had dedicated that day to my mother. I told myself I was going to graduate for her.
Ewing's stellar career had made him college basketball's most celebrated player. Now he would find himself heralded as the NBA's biggest new star. 7 teams had qualified to participate in the draft lottery for his rights, and each dreamed of Patrick as their new savior.
The #1 pick in the draft will certainly be Patrick Ewing, the 3-time All-America out of Georgetown.
Ewing was the key at that time, and everybody knew going into the lottery that if you could get Ewing, you got a franchise player for the next 12, 14 years.
I wanted to go to New York. New York was my first choice.
And as each successive pick unfolded, Ewing and the Knicks moved closer to a mutual destiny.
Yeah, I really didn't get nervous until it got down to the last 3. And then all of a sudden, boy, I started sweating. I said, my God, we got a chance.
With 2 teams remaining, Ewing would either be a Knick or an Indiana Pacer.
I was like, let it be New York.
The second pick in the 1985 NBA draft goes to the Indiana Pacers.
Basketball is back in New York City, my friend.
In Ewing, Knick fans saw a hero to revive their once proud franchise and quickly thrust him into the New York spotlight, long before he took the court.
He's going to take us to the championship in New York.
They see Patrick Ewing, the star of the Big East, come into New York, and they expected a championship right away.
His much anticipated professional debut was the hottest ticket in town, and it was only fitting that it came against Moses Malone, the league's most dominant center.
Third year. Misses, and Ewing says hello to the NBA.
Moses just got introduced to Patrick Ewing.
Somebody shot the ball, came over his back and got the dunk. That was like, Patrick Ewing era has begun. Then Moses kicked my butt.
It was to be the first of many lessons Ewing would be taught that season, as he would find for the first time that he was unable to dominate at will.
So it looks like a frustrating evening building here for Patrick.
Though he would manage to win Rookie of the Year, talk of a championship in New York had halted as the Knicks would once again finish in last place.
Oh, it was rough. My rookie year, we won 23 games. I got hurt. It was booing us.
In his second year, the Knicks would win only 24 games, as Ewing would once again fall prey to injuries and inflated expectations.
He'd won on every level, and people expect you to come in and turn the franchise around right away. Well, basketball is a team game, and one person can't do it by himself. And the first couple of years, he had some injuries, and I think the fans got down on him a little bit.
I remember one time we had a Patrick Ewing poster night, and I had been hurt, and I came back for that game, and I had a bad game. I remember people ripping the poster up, throwing it on the floor. It was rough. It was rough.
But even at the low point of his 2-year pro career, Ewing's confidence remained unshaken.
I felt bad for him, and when I finished my post-game remarks, I walked over and I put my arm around him and I said, "You doing okay?" And he looked over and, like he always did, and he said, "I'm fine." And I walked away from him that night thinking this guy's going to be great.
Though Patrick remained hopeful, New York fans bordered on despair. And in the anguish of their fallen expectations, they looked to Ewing for an answer. But instead of responding with colorful quips or dramatic statements, he answered in the way he knew best, with stoic determination.
He kept a blank face at all times, and he really didn't talk to the media much, but you know he was hurting. You know, you knew. He's got an awful lot of pride. So you knew it, but he never would talk about it.
You're not going to change people's perception of you. You know, I'm intense, I'm focused, and I have something to set out to do, and I'm going out to do it.
Entering the 1988 season, Patrick prepared to again wage his personal battle to revive his team. But now he would finally get reinforcements. New coach Rick Pitino would install a running game that was perfectly suited to Ewing's full-court prowess. And rookie point guard Mark Jackson would deliver him the ball.
Jackson for Ewing.
The relationship that we had on the court from the first day of practice, something just clicked. And I knew I was in good shape with Patrick Ewing on the floor with me.
Jackson with the step for Ewing.
Ewing, good look, layup good.
Jackson with the ball. Oh, Ewing, oh, Jim! Incredible!
You didn't even have to call a play. He knew what I was thinking, I knew what he was thinking. We fed off of one another.
The steal by Ewing. Jackson keeping it alive, finding Ewing.
With Patrick leading the way, the New York revival began.
Alley-oop to Ewing. That'll make the Garden war.
Ewing jumping out. And it's a 3-on-1. Here's Ewing.
It's all going New York's way again.
And as the season drew to a close, the emotionally charged Knicks found themselves challenging for a playoff berth.
Stefanovic on the move. And it's all over. The Knicks make it to the playoffs for the first time since the 1984 season.
I remember Sidney Green diving on me. I'm on the floor. I'm like, get off my leg, trying to hurt me before the playoffs start.
Though New York would lose to a veteran Boston Celtic team, Patrick made the most of his playoff debut and was determined that it was only the start of things to come.
He knew he was the man, and he knew sooner or later that with the right situation, with the right players around him, it would happen, you know, and the Knicks got the right people around him, and things started rolling again.
Building on his postseason performance, Ewing continued to elevate his team and his game.
And now Ewing is turning it on. Rebound Ewing.
Would you say Ewing's had an effect?
He is controlling the game. Ewing, not the shot you want, but he hits it. Patrick Ewing has hit the 40-point plateau.
Behind Patrick's inspired play, his Knicks set a new standard for home court dominance.
They got the record. 21 straight home victories.
You know, we're going down in the record book as one of the best teams to ever played at Madison Square Garden.
And for the first time in 5 years, Patrick gave New York a taste of playoff success.
The Knicks have swept the 76ers. They have reached the East semifinals for the first time since back in 83-84.
Patrick became the Knicks pretty much. He was our go-to guy. He was our franchise guy.
Patrick not likely to shoot it from there. Whoa!
Though Stu Jackson took over for Rick Pitino in the 1990 season, Ewing didn't miss a beat. He would be voted the All-Star Team's starting center.
At center, making his first start in 4 All-Star appearances from the New York Knicks, Patrick Ewing.
And while Patrick had always been known as a dominant defender,
Knicks have the numbers. Jackson for Ewing.
he would now take his place among the league's top scorers, averaging almost 29 points a game.
He's getting the whole package.
He's got everything going.
And fittingly, Boston Garden would be the scene of one of Patrick's most dominant performances. With the Knicks down 2 games to the Celtics and facing playoff elimination, Ewing led one of the most stirring comebacks in playoff history.
Early threw it away. 1 second. Ewing. You gotta know something when that happens. That's an omen.
It was great. I remember coming off the court, you know, I had a lot of friends and family at the game, and pointing at them up in the stands, like, yeah, I told you we was going to do it. It was great.
Entering the 1991 season, the Knicks seemed capable of challenging the NBA's elite, and Ewing, beginning his 6th year as a pro, looked forward to completing New York's transformation into a championship contender. But as the season began, the Knicks inexplicably struggled.
Oh, what a ridiculous shot.
Stu Jackson would be fired 15 games into the season and be replaced by John McLeod. But changing coaches would not prove to be the answer, as the Knicks suffered their first losing season in 3 years, and an embarrassing playoff blowout to the Chicago Bulls.
A facial, this one, right at Patrick Ewing.
The year would prove especially difficult for Ewing, who in the prime of his career found himself farther away than ever from a championship.
Oh, it was rough. It was rough. I mean, we thought that, we were going, go far that year. But, we didn't.
To complicate matters, the front office was changing once again. This time, the Knicks' revolving door let in Ernie Grunfeld and Dave Checketts, and Ewing wondered whether the team would ever provide him with a stable foundation.
Talk that summer was not going to do much with Patrick. We had to show him some action.
The New York Knicks are very proud to announce today the appointment of Pat Riley as head coach of the New York Knicks.
Having coached the Lakers to 5 championships, Pat Riley brought with him an impressive resume of success. But Ewing remained skeptical.
I can recall my first meeting with Patrick in Washington, and he asked me, he said, "Why do you think you're going to make it any different?" He said, "You're just one of 6 coaches they've had here in 5 years, and they've all come in and they've all probably said the same thing that you're about to say to me." I said, "You might be right." I said, "The only thing that I have that I can bring is credibility."
Remaking the team in Patrick's image, the Knicks added players who matched his fiery intensity.
We really felt like if we built around him, we can get to where we want to go, and that's to win a championship. We brought some players around him, and we really made Patrick the focus of our ball club.
Harley had it knocked away. Nice play by McDaniel. Ewing from Starks. Across the middle. The mailman. Flash swatted out of bounds by Patrick Ewing. There's Patrick again. Mason helping out. Jackson with the steal. In on Dumars. Drops for Ewing.
The 1992 Knicks would execute a dramatic turnaround. Displaying their new intensity, they would win 51 games and enter the postseason with renewed confidence. Their first playoff test would come against the Detroit Pistons, once the league's most feared defenders, but now Ewing would dominate, leading New York to an emotional 5-game victory.
The celebration has begun here at Madison Square Garden.
Having dispatched Detroit, the Knicks took aim at dethroning the defending champion Bulls. Only 1 year ago, Chicago had humiliated New York in a 3-game sweep. But now, as Game 1 began, Ewing was determined that this year would be different.
Starting his drive again. Power move. Here's Pippen with the step. Rejected by Ewing. McDaniel fires. And Ewing with the rebound put it in.
Patrick Ewing is playing big, way above the rim tonight. He is possessed right now to go get every rebound.
Almost single-handedly claiming Game 1 for New York, Ewing served Chicago notice that they were in for the fight of their lives.
But we just have to go out and get the job done. And the way we're playing right now, if we continue to play this way, we can't be beat. They don't have anyone who can stop Patrick Ewing, and that's the key.
But an aroused Bull team would storm back to take a 3-2 lead and emphatically seize control of the series.
He's going to race against Anthony. They're good. Yes! What a play by BJ! And the Bulls are 1 win away from defeating the New York Knicks.
Heading home to New York for Game 6, the Knicks teetered on the brink of playoff elimination.
The Knicks trying to stay alive.
The Knicks want to take this back to Chicago Sunday, and the Bulls want it to stop here and now.
With the season's defining moment before him, Patrick issued the boldest of declarations to his teammates.
I can remember Patrick saying, "We're going to do it. I'm going to do whatever it takes for us to do it." And I knew that every time he ever said that, he didn't let anybody down.
And as the contest began, Patrick would try valiantly to keep his promise.
Pippen with the spin, rejected.
Playing with unrelenting determination, Ewing dominated inside and gave the Knicks an 8-point halftime lead.
Jackson gives it up. Ewing! Oh, what a play!
But late in the third quarter, with Chicago mounting a rally, disaster struck.
Ewing from way out. Knicks not getting good shots now. Ewing is hurt. Ewing is down. And Pippen has tied the game at 61. Ewing slow to get up.
Left ankle.
Patrick was hurt. He went down. It obviously was a bad sprain.
Now Patrick Ewing stumbling his way to the bench.
With Ewing sidelined, the Knicks' prospects of sending the series back to Chicago seemed to vanish. But with the season slipping away before his eyes, Patrick would not sit idly by and watch.
I remember him walking from the bench to the score clock, and I'm turning around looking at him coming back in. As soon as he started walking on the court, I started screaming at him and telling him that they can't stop you. They can't stop you.
With Patrick leading New York on an inspirational charge, the Knicks would bury Chicago in the fourth quarter.
A hobbling Patrick Ewing gives the Knicks an 11-point lead.
The spark, the emotion, the fire that he had in that game was just phenomenal. And to know that this guy was hurting, that he was coming out and doing whatever it took to win, it only sparked us. It only lit a fire inside of us. We'll never forget.
We are seeing a Willis Reed type performance by Patrick Ewing.
Yes, this has reached heroic proportion.
That's what I remember about the game is the total effort and heart that he showed in that particular game, in the game that we needed. Limping around and showing his guts and his courage as to what he really is all about.
For New York, Ewing's heroics would prove to be the final punctuation to their turnaround season. But for Patrick, the year was far from over. He had been chosen to take part in his second Olympics, this time as a member of the fabled Dream Team. It was an honor that placed him as one of the game's 10 best players and sent him off to Barcelona, where he would gain a unique opportunity to spend time with his superstar peers.
With all these stars on the team, if it comes down to the last shot, who's gonna take the shot?
Me. I know all the guys, but I never got the opportunity to spend a lot of time with them. I thought it would be a great opportunity to do that and cultivate the friendships.
His newest friendship would be formed with one of the game's greatest legends.
Got to know Larry Bird a lot better. Usually I just know him from the court and talking stuff. We battling. But, he's a great guy. He's down to earth, funny.
But I don't think this team could beat our 86 team in Boston.
Larry, everybody's talking about the game.
That's just because Patrick Ewing's not a real center.
Tell me about the Harry and Larry show. Larry?
The Harry and Larry show, so everybody just picked up on it. I'm trying to pick his mind. Larry is one of the best players that ever played the game, and I'm trying to pick his mind to see what he did to get himself there.
That's the story. Patrick said I could pick his mind. It took me 3 minutes. Now he gets a chance to come back and start picking on mine.
Took me one.
On the court, Patrick continued his give and take with his new teammates as they seamlessly blended their styles and rolled over all competition.
Bounce to Ewing, underneath, reverse layup is good. He did not use the backboard. And Ewing saves the night for USA. Magic down into Ewing. Ewing! Oh, what a play!
And the United States now leads by 50.
As he played with other superstars, Ewing seemed only to shine brighter.
Normally, you're the best player on your team, but when you can play with other great players and see what happens, you just get better and better.
Nice play. Ewing, he's doing it all.
The way that Patrick would better his game was not physically, but rather psychologically. He would find a new method of leadership. And going into the 1993 season, he was prepared to practice it.
My first couple of years in the league, I wouldn't say too much. I would just play hard, practice hard, work hard, lead by example. But I'm older, mature, and so if I see something that needs to be said, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna, tell them, chew them out, do whatever I have to do to win the championship.
I didn't think he was a leader. I really didn't. I just thought he came and did his job and said, "See you later." And when I came here and saw that intensity, the fire, he's a leader.
Patrick Ewing.
Rejected by Ewing.
Patrick Ewing is answering the call defensively.
If you're the Knicks, you go right to Patrick Ewing.
Starks to Ewing for the slam. Patrick Ewing threw that one down with authority.
This season would see Patrick lead his Knicks to the best record in the East, with 60 wins. He would help them garner a second straight Atlantic Division title. And in the process, he would convince many around the league that he was the NBA's best player. Wearing his heart on his sleeve, Patrick shared his emotions with his fans more than ever before and seemed to enjoy it.
He's a lot more open and more vulnerable, and I think the fans sense it.
Even his activities off the court reflected his new openness.
Y'all gonna have a great year in school? Education is very important, right? Can I get a yes? All right.
Besides giving back to his community, Patrick welcomed the national spotlight as never before.
You wanna go one-on-one?
Be cool. Stay in school.
How'd you beat me?
Don't touch, Dad.
You like my hat? What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
But despite his outward transformation, his focus was unchanged. And as the Knicks began their much-anticipated postseason quest, it quickly became clear that his competitive flame burned more brightly than ever.
Ewing, that's it! He's been dying for the ball. He finally got it.
In the playoffs' first round, he led his team into battle against the Indiana Pacers with fierce play and fierce words.
Starks and Miller going at each other, and John Starks has been thrown out.
Look at Ewing's reaction. I've never seen a teammate treat another teammate that way.
Oh, they are so upset with Starks.
I kind of lost it for a second, and he was letting me know that I'm too important to be in the locker room instead of out there on the court.
With his team in line behind him, Ewing helped dispatch the Pacers and propelled the Knicks confidently into the second round against the Hornets.
It was the marquee matchup of former Georgetown centers, the rookie Mourning, the veteran Ewing.
Although his Georgetown protege Alonzo Mourning spearheaded a spirited Charlotte charge, Ewing was again simply too much.
Ewing, oh, beautiful move.
Student, this is how the teacher does it. Ewing in the paint.
Oh, he has been unstoppable, an MVP performance.
And for the first time in 19 years, the Knicks were headed for the conference finals. As the series began, it seemed as if Patrick's long-awaited trip to the championship series was finally at hand.
Finding Purdue, rejected by Ewing.
Playing with breathtaking determination, he carried the Knicks to 2 resounding victories against the defending champions.
And the Knicks are going to win it, and they take a 2-game-to-none lead over the Chicago Bulls in the NBA Eastern Conference Final.
But it would not be enough.
The Bulls on a roll.
And despite all of Patrick's heroics, the Knicks would eventually succumb in 6 games.
Chicago
I'm very disappointed right now. I thought that this was my year to win the championship. We had it right in the palm of our hands, but we let it slip away.
But while Patrick's dreams of a championship remained unfulfilled, his spirit remained strong, and his outlook remained philosophical.
No matter what you do, you strive for certain things to get to be the president of the company or whatever. And my profession is to win the championship. That's the thing at the top. I want that ring.
But in striving for his goals, he has carved out his own special place in history.
I've had an opportunity to coach Kareem and Magic, and I was around and played with Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain. But I have never been around a guy who works as hard as Patrick.
And though he remains intent on achieving his dreams, the success of his personal journey cannot be measured in victories alone.
He's a guy that is loyal to his friends, to his family, to his team. He's a great basketball player, but an even better person.
He is a young man that at every phase of his life worked extremely hard at being a very decent person. I sum up Patrick with one word: respect.
It's a sentiment that is echoed by all those Patrick has touched. An athlete of uncommon perseverance, he has never shrunk from the challenges that his life has presented him, and instead has confronted them with quiet dignity and stood even taller.
Patrick! Tony! Get it! Kicking his butt.
Trying to work this big fella out.
Get on the boot. I was lucky.